Hi, my name is Andrew Garver, and this is my professional development presentation for students with ADHD. I will warn you that a couple of the slides are a little big, and I don't know how to get this top bar off, so some of the the headings are going to be cut off a little bit, but I'll say the heading, and you'll be able to kind of read it a little bit. But yeah, all right, so here we go. So how many students are currently being served in the U.S. with ADHD? As of 2011, 11%, or 64 million, have been diagnosed according to the CDC. That's a lot. Also, 2/3 of students with other ailments or other health impairments, were identified as ADHD students. And as far as health impairments go, that's anywhere from dyslexia to asthma. So that number can be a little skewed, but still 2/3 of students having ADHD with another health impairment is still a pretty high number, and that kind of says that they're going hand in hand. So, yeah, and here is, see, so how is the number diagnosed? How has the number diagnosed increased, and what are some of the reported reasons? So, since the late 1990s, the rate has increased 30%, which over 30 years, that's 10% a year. That's a pretty high number. So there's got to be something up. So there's a lot of different causes. The main subtitles, if you may, are hereditary, which is genetics having to do with DNA. So, like, my eyes are brown. That's genetics that's genetically tied to my family. A lot of my family has brown eyes, or blue eyes, or the same. It's a genetic thing. Structural differences in the brain. I have this nice little infographic here. The brain with ADHD and a normal brain. There's all sorts of, the scientists have found that there's differences in shape, thickness, volume, or the amount of space it takes up, basically. Also, there's different variations in brain anatomy, so people with ADHD have a slightly different brain. What else? I'm sorry. There's neurochemical factors and all sorts of stuff. And then environmental causes. Environmental causes, they haven't quite proven. Well, no, I lied. They have. Sorry. But it has to do with, like, cigarette smoke, lead-based paints, being around that in childhood, or as a child, you grow most and develop most when you're a baby, basically. That's when you're at the height of your growing and maturing, and things like carcinogens, cigarette smoke, lead-based paints, alcohol, that kind of thing, doesn't help, and it can change the chemistry of your brain. And that's what some environmental changes are with ADHD. So, let's see if I can. I skipped one. Sorry. Alright, so, do all students with ADHD demonstrate the same characteristics or degree of behavior? Not all. Not all of them exhibit the same kind of characteristics. There's 3 different types. Predominantly inactive, which means that they have trouble paying attention. They're very basically there's 3 different ones. Never mind. Predominantly inactive, so they don't really pay attention. They have trouble listening, that kind of stuff. They can't really do multiple tasks at the same time. They have to keep their mind on one thing. And then predominantly hyperactive or impulsive, that's the complete opposite of predominantly inactive. Predominantly hyperactive and impulsive means that the student is, for lack of a better term, bouncing off the walls. They can't sit still, they can't concentrate, are constantly interrupting, shouting things, not paying attention. Their mind is going a million miles a minute. And then combined, which is the most common form of ADHD. And combined, obviously, you can figure it out, is combined from, or is a combination of both predominantly inactive and predominantly hyper impulsive. So, like I said, it's the most common form. And I have this little infographic here. The core symptoms are inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. So that would be the combined type. Right, I'm trying to move it here. It's not wanting to. Oh, nope, went too far again. All right. So, what are the specific behaviors and characteristics of students with ADHD? So, you're predominantly inactive. They have trouble paying attention, listening, following instructions. They tend to get lost in their own work. They don't pay attention very well, but they're very calm about it. It's more of a quiet. I can't think of the word, but more of a quiet thing. And then you're predominantly hyperactive, hyperactive impulse. They obviously have trouble keeping still. They're, like I said earlier, their mind's going a million miles a minute. They are all over the place. They can't. They have trouble being quiet, shouting out things during quiet periods and during lectures. Waiting their turn. That's a big thing with, or a big characteristic, I suppose. Combined, they have trouble with both. They can't sit still, can't concentrate, can't do much of anything without having their ADHD affected. So how does that make it difficult to learn and participate in school? Well, where you're predominantly inattentive, they don't really work very well when things are really distracting. Say you have a science experiment, there's a lot going on, groups over here doing something, groups are over here doing something, you're over here doing something, your aide's over here doing something. They're not going to function very well in that atmosphere, just because it's not structured and it's not structured and like planned out. Well, it is planned out, but there's several things that could go different, several different variables. Predominantly hyperactive, impulsive. They are definitely distracting to themselves and and other students when they can't sit still. They need to stand up and be moving, and also, hollering out things if they're trying to answer a question too early, or just being generally loud. They have trouble focusing on one thing because, again, I'll use it again, their mind's going a million miles a minute. And then your combined is a combination of both. It's, they have trouble working in distracting environments. That's really what we get at here. All right. So what category are students with ADHD identified within the IDEA model? They're identified in a subcategory, and it's called other health impairments. Now, IDEA defines, I'm going to read this word for word because it's pretty important. They define health impairments as A student with other health impairments a student with other health impairments has limited strength, vitality, or alertness, including a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli, resulting in a limited alertness with respect to the educational environment. So, basically what that means is they have trouble concentrating, right? They have a real trouble concentrating on what is at hand, a lecture, an assignment, anything like that. The idea definition goes on to say as well that it's due to a chronic or acute health problems such as asthma, attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, diabetes, epilepsy, a heart condition, anemia, or Tourette's syndrome, and it adversely affects a child's education performance. So basically, what I talked about in the first slide, that 2/3 of impaired students, the 2/3 of impaired students have ADHD, and that's what the idea model is basically doing in this, is it's coupling them, because it doesn't go hand in hand, but it almost goes hand in hand. So, alright. Oh, there we go. Okay, effective class-wide intervention. So the multimodal treatment is the treatment that is most widely recognized and works the best. So it's basically a lot of different treatments and therapies. So under this treatment, students can be on medication. They can be there's goal setting involved. There's counseling, that kind of stuff. Anything to get them to concentrate more and to effectively learn. Errorless learning is a very interesting technique. It's basically creating a lesson plan that minimizes the mistakes a student will have when learning. So if you don't make it easy per se, but you make it not necessarily easy, but you can come to the conclusion easier, and that helps with goal setting and management of time and everything. Another technologically based intervention would be video self-modeling, or VSM. It again promotes goal setting and self-management. But basically what it is you record students doing a task correctly, and then you have them go back and watch it and analyze it and see what they did right and see what they may have done wrong. And that helps, again, with goal setting and self-management. Alright. The bibliography, I got some of the statistics from the data and statistics portion for ADHD on the CDC, the government website. So they take all the census information and they produce this. And then I got the rest of it from our textbook, Exceptional Lives, Special Education in Today's Schools. Thank you very much. I hope you like my presentation.